Hey guys, how's it going today? So, in today's video, found a little article about Hiro Arai. Now, if you don't know who Hiro Arai is, he is the official navigator of New Genesis. You've seen him on the YouTube channel, talking about updates and future plans and all this other stuff. So, a Japanese website actually did an interview on him. So, let's discuss because there's some pretty important stuff here that we need to go over. So, of course, as always, I will link this down in the description box below if you want to check it out yourself. So, of course, you know who is Hiro Arai. He is the official navigator of NGS, mainly responsible for the production and execution of the NGS headlines. That, of course, is the YouTube channel that he does in Global in Japan, where, of course, he talks about stuff like updates and everything like that. He also takes part in preparing community content, posting campaigns on social media, and taking part in PR-related tasks. He strongly believes in gaming as much in-game knowledge as he can, and purposely tries to see things from the perspective of the player. So, he's pretty much the whole guy who's reading all of our comments as much as he can about dislikes and likes about the game, which down the articles, I've already read this, some pretty juicy little tidbits. So, he has spent time playing PSO and NGS, 500 logged in, I've got more than that. Some have felt that NGS headlines, he seems slightly indifferent and out of touch with the game. He feels that he may be because he's getting used to the format of the show, where he's encouraged to talk freely, but also follow a general script. Also, as NGS headlines presented in a short news show, he tries not to be too playful and thereby extend the length of his show unnecessarily. Future broadcasts, he does think he'll sometimes show more personality. I mean, Japanese people have just been very blunt and straightforward. So, when they do the whole translation stuff, it's usually our little spin on it, try to make stuff a little more funny. But anyway, PSO2 Station Plus to PSO2 NGS Prologue. Now, this one's important because this one just seems so. I won't even know how to explain it, but the purpose of the change in cast and structure of PSO2 Station and PSO2 NGS Prologue was to create equality between new and returning players. All players would have been able to see NGS from the same perspective with the new format and cast, not cast, hee. The cast of NGS Prologue was chosen for the love of video games and PSO2. So, pretty much they're trying to think that this is how we envision PSO2 for new returning players, which, can have some tail on it. Cast NGS Prologue was chosen for the love of video games. The MC Yuki, OI from Hirachi, even played the previous Fang Star game franchise, Fang Star Universe, who hasn't played that. Also, female cast members were chosen to appeal a demographic that was previously unrepresented in the game. The intent of the show is also a culture of new players, which have been successful, as new players have been appeared on larger scale than the launch of PSO2, PS Vita, and PS4 versions in Japan. So, of course, we don't have the PS4 version in North America or global, nor do we have the PSP or the Nintendo Switch version, which is a cloud version, which runs like ass. I tried to connect on, doesn't work. Anyway, the change in format was due to changes in player preferences and streaming feeds. PSO2 Station Plus contained casual conversations and segments similar to variety shows, efforts to entertain and provide information. Many players expressed a preference for shorter, pretty much what we're getting now, shorter bursts of information versus them going on for hours. Because I've watched them go on, especially when at 12 being launched. That was like 2 hours and 2 hours 30 minutes long. They were just explaining everything. It was. I tried to sit through that, even with the live translations going on. Yeah, it was a little too much. Of course, they're talking about COVID-19 and how it's affecting everybody. So there's no need to go over that. So future episodes of PSO2 Genesis may be longer. Now, see, the key thing is PSO2 Genesis Prologue. So we're technically in the prologue. We're not like episode 1 or episode 2 or anything like that. If necessary, due to major game updates, this intent is still keep things as compact as possible. So pretty much what they're talking about is that we're pretty much still in prologue. There's no chapter 1 yet. I don't know how they're going to handle chapters in this game, but yeah. So here's the more personal stuff right here. Well, not personal, but here's the more stuff we've been looking for. So on the global version of NGS, Hiro Arai is not in charge of global version of Genesis, but information and announcements are shared between teams to avoid discrepancies. So pretty much whatever JP gets, we get. So in PSO2 JP, of course, we didn't get everything they got because we were late to get in the game. We just got the game not even last year. And so we're going to be on parity with NA and JP. He mentions global players are more vocal than Japanese players, which is definitely true, with their concerns about game bugs and available content at launch. We are extremely vocal when it comes to this. We're very vocal. I don't think they were able to really handle how vocal we were, Japanese players. Japanese players are generally very timid and quiet. I don't know if that's true of every Japanese players, but global players, yeah, we're very outspoken. If we want something, yeah. If their social media doesn't show that, I don't know what will. But we are very cool. We are very, very, very vocal and up their asses when we have no content and we're pissed off about it. Yeah. Welcome to America. Anyway, global, I'm sorry. Global version, more PC or console players, pretty much more PC players because of FPS and stuff like that. So NGS started as a project 2017. So Hiro Arai was prior to him joining the team. The intent was to preserve cosmetic items for PSO2. So pretty much what they were working on for, I think, a few years was all the content of like customization stuff, costumes, hairstyles, all that stuff. They were working on that for a very long time to kind of preserve that, because I'm not gonna go into this much, but there are tidbits of here in the next section that definitely needs going over. So pretty much what they were doing is instead of having new content style for clothing and just leaving all this stuff in another game, they wanted to just bring stuff over. So he says keeping the PSO2 population intact instead of potentially split them. I mean, they're split already. So, some people play PSO2, a lot of people play NGS, vice versa. That's just how it is. This led to the decision of instead of making a quote-unquote major update, he mentions two things that is most important considerations when the team began development on NGS. The first is maintaining the ability for players to use cosmetic items, just talked about that. And second was that they wanted to create a place where everyone could gather, leading exploration sectors, which I don't see many people gathering because the blocks are so empty. Like block 1, I'm on ship 1, so block 1 and block 30 or 31, I believe, are the two blocks that are filled the most. People aren't gathering because people aren't playing. And so, yeah, I go out to these sectors. They'll only gather when they fight Gigantics, and that's it. No one is gathering to do screenshots and socialize. They socialize in Central City, where everyone does. If this is PSU, 4th floor of the Guardian ship. They socialize like hell there. Everyone does. In Fangstar Online 2, they just sit their butts in the lobby. In PSO, episodes 1 and 2, they just sit in the lobby. No one is going to exploration sectors to socialize. I don't see it. If they are, I don't see them. But no one does. People are running around trying to get to the very top of the building in Central City. No one is going in exploration sectors and just chilling and hanging. There's enemies about. You can't do really screenshots about enemies attacking unless you go to, I think, Northern Halfa Lake, where there's nothing there, and then the beach where there's nothing there, and that's it. So, yeah. So they were talking about the maximum capacity of exploration sectors, which I'm gonna call BS on this. So Hiro Arai states that the maximum capacity of exploration sectors is set to 32 players due to heavy network loads. I can see that being a problem when the game launched, but again, you don't have people playing, and not a lot of people are going to be in exploration sectors. How does this hold water? Now you can argue that, oh, maybe it's too much for the stress of the game. Final Fantasy XIV can have 80 plus people fighting one gigantic mega boss in one zone. Final Fantasy XI still does the same exact thing. World of Warcraft have world bosses where players just fight one giant monsters, and there are hundreds of them, and they're older servers back then. And I played World of Warcraft back then to fight bosses like that. 32 players due to heavy network loads. Yeah, I think they could work on that. I mean, if they had more content in exploration sectors, sure, I can see maybe it's a heavy load. But when there's not a lot of people playing in the first place, there's not much to do in exploration sectors besides fighting Gigantics that would warrant them saying, oh, there has to be a cap of 32 players. I don't know. That's just me. Like, the urgent quests could have 12 people, and the combat sectors could have 12 easily. There's no reason why you can add an additional 4 people. And I'm just saying that pure standpoint. And the biggest hurdle from PSO2 to NGS. Hiro Arai states that the most difficult part of the development of NGS was increasing the quality of graphics. Now, they did the same thing for PSO2. They have a graphic settings where they kind of beefed it up. They did like 60 FPS. The graphics are a little bit different. The game looks a little bit brighter if you haven't noticed it, but you can go back to the simpler graphics if you want, so you don't have to use the upgraded PSO2 graphics engine. They doing the best they can to really make the game shine just a little bit more, but there's only so much you can do with a game that old. Anyway, what about PSO2? Many players still enjoy PSO2. That's true. A lot of people still enjoy PSO2. I don't as much anymore. I don't really play PSO2 that much, but yeah. And gather in a lobby and extent, and they have a request to add more blocks to PSO2. Now, if you haven't noticed, there's very little blocks to PSO2, and they should just keep it that way. We don't need a lot of blocks to PSO2. Not a lot of people playing the game, but people still play the game. The global version received all 6 episodes of PSO2 story and content within 1 year. That's very true. So many players are still working on completing the game. That's very true. The development team is very happy that so many people are still playing PSO2 at the launch of NGS and feel it was worth to keep the PSO2 up running. That's because people are getting tired of the lack of content in NGS. That's why they're still going back to PSO2 and still playing. PSO2 has 8 to 9 years of content, and NGS has launch content that people are tired of playing. So yeah, they're going to go back to PSO2 and still play. Will more blocks be added to PSO2? Why? Unless they're going to add some updates to PSO2, there's no need. The development team would like to continue to observe the trends of PSO2 before adjusting block numbers. Pretty much, like I said, they've reduced block numbers by a substantial amount, so there's really no reason for them to adjust the blocks. They can keep them as is. I think there's 5 or 6 blocks. I believe it's 6 blocks, and 2 are always full and the rest are really empty, so they don't need to really adjust those blocks. Just keep them right as they are. Share content between PSO2 and NGS. So pretty much in a nutshell, they're saying that, you know, the game is 30 years after the Battle of Oracle, and they were saying that if you had your 15-star weapons in PSO2, they get kind of downgraded to like 5-star weapons, 4-star weapons in NGS, just so they can have that bridge to be able to equip better weapons if we can't find any in NGS. That's pretty much what they're saying right here. So post-mortem NGS loss. This is it's a pretty important one, but the next section is going to be really important. So in the 2 months at the time of the interview since the loss of NGS, the team has received positive feedback on the graphics on the beautiful open world game. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's nice. Players also commented multi-weapons. I personally never used multi-weapons yet. I'm going to probably get into it, as it means they can enjoy combat actions more freely. The team has also received feedback in certain areas that indicate need for improvement. Some areas that are currently being considered are the amount of content. Again, that's a concern for everybody. Number of bugs and a lag. So bugs and lag, content, the 3 big things. And of course, they apologize for the bugs and lags, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is going to be a really important thing, because this may really hit home for a lot of people, especially when it comes to content. So I'm going to go over this. So regarding content as shown in the roadmap, so they've had the large update coming for winter. So in the roadmap that's presented prior launch, there is a large update schedule for winter 2021. In hindsight, Hiro Arai acknowledges that the team should have explained the difference in update policy between PSO2 and NGS. With PSO2, the idea was to have something for users to look for every week, and that updates should arrive every 2 weeks, which was true. Updates came every 2 weeks with maintenance. We always got something new, big or small, we got something new. Now, this is the part that's probably going to piss some people off. NGS has the goal of taking longer to create and release larger updates every 6 months. Yeah, every 6 months. This means that the content will come in waves. He mentions that the development team understands that there are some users who play through all the content and stop. That's true. With PSO2, I did that. Because why? I've played it before. So I just breezed through it. Skipped all the cutscenes. I didn't care. I've done it before. But of course, this is a different game, so it doesn't compare. But yeah, PSO2 did updates every 2 weeks because they already had the content. You just translate it, make it global, you're done. Of course, I'm no programmer or how that works, but pretty sure if you already have the content, you can do stuff with it. So they're looking at ways to ensure players come back to enjoy every major update. However, this doesn't mean that there will be absolutely no updates outside every 6 months. As expansion of Quest systems come every 2 to 3 months, it will also have the Go development team to ensure players enjoy seasonal events and the release of new items while they wait for the next region on Halfa to be released. So this is the ninth anniversary update, and then this current update, as I'm recording this video, the autumn seasonal events going on is supposed to tie us over. But if you're recycling the same event, you know, it's not fun. So on story updates, the main story will be updated alongside the release of new regions on Planet Halfa. Side story tasks will be released every 2 to 4 months, so we already got one. Okay. The pace of NGS story content release will be slower compared to PSO2. All players must go through the story content, so there will be fewer story tasks than there were in PSO2. So if you haven't done story in New Genesis, which they pretty much force you to do story, kind of like Final Fantasy 14, you know, if you want new content, you're gonna go through story. I mean, you may as well just do it anyway. But they're pretty much telling you have to do story content in New Genesis. There's no skipping it, because you can't unlock a lot of stuff if you don't play story. So you can't just spawn out of a new character and just go out in the world and have fun. Your subclass is locked behind story, accessing to shops is locked behind story, accessing to upgrades is locked behind story, so you gotta do the stuff. So I'm not gonna get over with the popular NPCs. If you wanna read that, again, I'm gonna link this. And then SG scratch and stuff like that. I'm not gonna really get into that too, because it's a very sore subject for people, especially the SG scratch. It's very sore. And then enemies similar to PSU. I mean, it's just there's a lot of enemies who got familiarities with PSU. So if you haven't played PSU, there's a lot of enemies who were just designed off of that game, put into New Genesis. And yeah, that's it for this little interview. So let me know what you guys think about this. It's very interesting what they were talking about. It's, you know, a lot of information people needed to know about updates and why it's just taking so long for updates. But most importantly, it's got a lot to do with why they're taking so long and what we can expect. So now we know 6 months we're getting content stuff. So that's a bitter pill to swallow, but at least we know. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.